Look, I've been a Windows user for a long time, okay? And I'm not ashamed to admit, Apple's looking pretty nice right now. The things they're doing, I'm kind of like, okay, friends. I'm talking, of course, about the Apple MacBook Neo. It was leaked a little bit. People knew that a MacBook was coming or likely to be coming with an iPhone chip in it. That is heavier than I expected. Wow. Maybe I just haven't held a new MacBook in a while, but that's got heft to it. I think they put the whole iPhone in there. Anyway, Apple did it. They took the A18 Pro that launched with the iPhone 16 Pros, and they knocked a GPU core off, so there's 5 GPU cores instead of 6 now, and they stuck it in the MacBook Neo and encased it in these fun new colors. That's the best part. Look at this. Oh, okay, what is this, citrus? Now, if you've been paying attention to the launch of the Neo at all, you understand that people are very excited about this laptop despite it having like a phone chip. That's not exciting, except that the phone chip is a bit more powerful than the first Apple Silicon chip that they put in the MacBook after dropping Intel by the wayside. We're not just talking about any phone chip, we're talking about Apple Silicon, which has like transformed the industry and remains the standard for laptop processors. They're good. Not only are the chips good, this is a MacBook that you can get for $600, $500 if you're a student, US. It's crazy. Anyway, let's see what else is in that box. Designed by Apple in California, I certainly hope so. Trackpad, we're gonna get to the trackpad. It's not haptic. Lock key, we did not get the version that has the Touch ID on the key, but we'll get to that all later. In the box, interestingly, is a 20-watt charger, USB-C to C cable as well. Now, some people have expressed concern about some of the specs of the MacBook Neo, including the fact that it has a 20-watt charger. It's quite low for a laptop. It's low for a phone these days. That's a 5-foot cable, baby. Let's go. You know how I can tell? Don't ask. AKA 1.5 meters. Apparently, you know, it takes about an hour or over an hour to charge from 0 to 100, but you can connect it to more powerful chargers and get like a little bit faster charging speed. The other thing to note here is that it's not MagSafe. Every other MacBook for a while has come with MagSafe. Apple took it away and then they brought it back. This one doesn't get it, because it's still a student. It has to earn MagSafe. But how annoying will it be to not have MagSafe? Well, let's see. Let's take a look at the actual. Now, I've heard people say it's got a one-finger openable lid. Ooh, that's nice. This is really giving me the same vibes I got when I got my first MacBook. It was a plastic Intel Core 2 Duo MacBook that I used for university, and it was beloved by me. Man, that is a color. I mean, you probably can't really get the appreciation for it via the video here. Maybe on that one. Does that look colorful to you? Do you see the color? In person, it's really catching the light in a way that like, I don't think it's gonna come across properly on the video. I usually do not care about colors at all. As you know, I'm a minimalist. Everything should be gray or black or white. But this is making me feel things. And that's really what it's all about. We need tech that makes us feel things more. Oh, but before we really start playing with it, we gotta take a look at the exterior here. And yes, they got that crazy color. We got a very, very smooth, nice finish on this. I mean, it's 600 bucks, 500 bucks with a discount. But I think the thing that's blowing everyone's minds is the fact that it's that price and like it feels and looks like a high-end Apple product. Like if you told me that Apple released a small, 13-inch MacBook Pro in fun colors and you handed this to me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I believe you. I'm also very gullible, but I believe you. Now, while it does have that nice kind of smooth aluminum enclosure that you would expect from a MacBook, there are some obvious design differences here. One being that the aforementioned MagSafe is not there. Instead, we have 2 USB-C ports. The one on the left here is USB 3. Whatever kind of USB 3 gets you 10 gigabits per second of transfer speed. I think it's USB 3.2 Gen 2 X1. And the USB-C port on the right here is USB 2 speeds. You're only getting 480 megabytes per second from that, which is, somewhat disappointing. However, use that thing for charging, for like, you know, mouse, keyboard, accessories or whatever, and then this can be more for like dongles, okay? At the very least though, they do have a headphone jack. So we haven't come up with some silly excuse for removing the headphone jack on MacBooks yet. Next to that, we have what many might assume from far away is an SD card slot. It's not, those are the speakers. These days we're used to MacBook speakers being upward facing, but these are side facing. And there's another one on the other side, along with no other ports on the sides or the front. We've got these grippy feet on the bottom that they look way lighter on the top down than they look in person. And we've got 8 Torx screws on the bottom, so you can remove it and you know, fiddle around in there. You're not gonna be able to change much because, you know, this is a Apple Silicon chip. The RAM is soldered. I'm not sure about the SSD. There has been some kind of like third-party fiddling around with unofficial ways to replace the SSD. That's all at your own risk though. You might screw something up, I don't know. I'm not recommending you do it. I'm just saying people have done it. All right, let's open it up again and look at one of the many cool things about this laptop. This is a Magic Keyboard. It's the same sort of keyboard that you get on the other MacBooks. It feels good to type on. If you've ever typed on a Magic Keyboard, it's kind of like the best laptop keyboard on the market. Oh, someone's gonna get at me in the comments, but like, it's good, okay? It's fine, it's more than fine. The one big downside with this keyboard is that there's no backlighting. It'll make people who use computers only in the dark sad. However, they are white keys as opposed to the black keys found on pretty much every other MacBook as far as I'm aware. So I should say, sorry, they're not like white. They're actually like a very subtle shade of the same color as the laptop. So if you get the other colors, blush, indigo, and just silver. The keys will kind of like be a variation of those colors as well. Down here, another interesting choice. It does not have the Taptic engine in the touchpad. For like a decade, MacBooks have had touchpads that do not have like a mechanical clicky action to it. It's just got a little vibration in it that makes it feel like you're clicking. But I guess they could save a little bit of money by designing a whole new trackpad that has a mechanical click to it. It's like a clicky trackpad. You can see it kind of going down in all different corners. Just the fact that they're launching this computer for $600. We'll get into this, but is it Apple being really good, or is it just the industry just really sucking? Maybe a bit of both, I don't know. So above that, we have one of the other areas that Apple may have kind of, you know, saved a little bit of money on in a reasonable way, perhaps. 13-inch IPS display, goes up to 500 nits, 60 hertz with a 2408 by 1506 resolution. It only has support for the sRGB color space, and it also doesn't have True Tone, which kind of changes the color temperature of the screen depending on your environment. I always thought that was kind of weird, but other people like it. You know, regardless, it's not here because it's $600. It's also worth pointing out here that the USB 3 port on the left, or on the back, does support DisplayPort output. You can power a monitor at 60 hertz. I think up to, was it 4K? Wow, okay, but only one. You know, now that like we're logged in, we're in macOS, it's a little surreal to have a device that like looks this fun and I know is that inexpensive. And you know, you're here, you're using an Apple product. The vibe is that Apple wants this to be like a lot of people's first Apple product, so they can convince you to pay for a subscription for something, anything, because they're getting a lot of money from services these days. Okay, let's start using this thing right after this message from our sponsor, Dbrand. They sent over one of their new 1984 MacBook skins. Now this one is color match for our Citrus device, but they've got 8 different hues for pretty much every modern MacBook colorway. Now if you're wondering, why would I put a Citrus skin on my Citrus MacBook Neo? The answer is to get a classic Apple logo like this one. Look at the colors. It's kind of like if 1984 Apple made a 2026 MacBook. Plus, the logo's 3D printed to really make it pop. You can feel it, there's texture. Put some texture in your life. These retro-styled 1984 skins are available for a ton of MacBooks, new and old. And if you wanna see how it'll look on your MacBook and pick up a skin for yourself, head on over to mybossisveryshort.com. So yes, we are in macOS, but it's not a normal MacBook, okay? It's got a phone chip in it. Let's not forget that. Now, my first thought it was to load Premiere because I know that it's probably less optimized on this hardware than Apple's own first-party apps. And I have experience with it, so we're gonna see how it handles like 4K footage or whatever. But obviously at 600 bucks, they're not targeting this machine towards like hardcore creative video editors and like people who do that for work. However, I've seen a lot of people say that like, yeah, it'll do browsing, it'll do word processing, it'll do light photo editing, it'll do whatever, like just fine, you know? But we're seeing claims that Apple's chips just are at the point now where you can push it a little bit farther and it's not gonna like totally break down. It'll kind of slow down a little bit as you throw more at it. Anyway, I'm just gonna click around and see if I have any subjective complaints about, slowdown or anything. We're gonna get to the labs results in a minute. We downloaded Chrome in a few seconds there. This thing's got Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 6. So I've got a few tabs open in Safari. I downloaded Chrome. I got some tabs open in that. We're playing videos, LTT store. We got Amazon, Apple.com. I opened a bunch of things, and so far I'm not seeing any slowdown in terms of like quickly. I was doing it quick. You should have seen it. This is far from an objective benchmark, but I think that like I'm using this laptop. It feels like using a MacBook. So far, I haven't really encountered anything where I'm like, ooh. Apple really, I've tried to emulate Chromebooks in a bit too much. It's not happened. I feel taken care of, which I've talked about a lot on this channel. I like that. Hello, slightly older Riley in a different sweater because we gave the MacBook Neo to the labs team. They did some testing overnight, so we got some battery numbers as well, and they gave it back to us. Here's what we found. As other people have found in their testing, the A18 Pro in the MacBook Neo is kind of around the M1 chip in a ballpark sense. In Cinebench, we got 12% better in single thread and 17% slower in multi-thread. The Neo is obviously behind the M4 and the M5 in Cinebench there, but it's actually impressively close in single thread. Multi-thread is where it really struggles just because it's got way less cores. Well, and for other reasons as well. Now, labs put the laptops that we're testing here through a couple of browser-based benchmarks, Jetstream and MotionMark 1.3.1. Because using a browser, using light apps is going to be what you're primarily doing on a machine like this. And in those tests, the Neo once again outperformed the M1 MacBook Air in Jetstream 2.0 and is actually impressively close to the other ones as well. In MotionMark though, which is a little bit more intensive, it fell behind all three of its, I don't want to say competitors because they're also Apple MacBooks, but Now while Labs was putting this thing through its paces, we were able to get some FLIR camera shots of the hot spots on there. So if you're curious as to what spots on the laptop get hot, these are the ones. And 42 degrees Celsius was the absolute top temperature that they recorded, which Labs says is shy of the 50 degree mark where they say that's where things start getting like uncomfortably hot. So I wouldn't expect you to burn your fingers on this thing or anything. I don't think it could burn you if you tried. It's pure of heart. Now to what is probably one of the more interesting benchmark numbers for this kind of device, battery discharge. With the time we had, we were able to test this against the MacBook Air M4 and the MacBook Air M5, both known for having very good battery life. And despite the Neo having quite a bit smaller battery, 36.5 watt hours versus 53.8 watt hours, the Neo was able to last 6 hours, 46 minutes, 25 seconds, which was behind, the over 8 hours that the other laptops were able to achieve. But that is streaming 1080p video off a Plex server constantly at 200 nits brightness in low power mode. So if you're not just watching video literally all day, that's nearly 7 hours of use with Apple's excellent standby time. You're looking at easy full day of use for like a student. IMO. Optimally, I'd love to get even more in-depth with numbers and testing, but this is a short circuit. We actually are working on a full LTT review of this thing, so stay tuned to LTT. I guess that's kind of throwing short circuit under the bus here, sorry. So, raw performance aside, what about some more kind of quality of life things? The speakers. Laptops, famously, often just have poor speakers. Not so with MacBooks. MacBooks usually have really good speakers. iMacs, generally pretty good. As someone who watched movies for a long time before I had a TV, we watched movies on a MacBook, on an iMac. So we're gonna do our standard crab rave audio testing. They're coming out the side. It's weird to see a MacBook with speakers that little, like that dinky. I usually see, usually have like these big speaker grills. Okay. I've seen people complaining about these speakers. Like they're like, oh, they're not so good, they're not very good. Like these are pretty good speakers for a laptop, okay? I guess I'm just, I've seen a lot of bad laptops in my life. I think the people that complain about the speakers are probably just like regular MacBook users and they're used to a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro and they're like, these are worse speakers. And it's like, they are right. But like, because I heard that these speakers weren't as good as the other ones, I was expecting them to be bad, but these are not like, I wouldn't call these bad. They're not like amazing, but like, there's like a little bit of mids. There's like a little bit of mids missing, but like, there's still like a healthy amount of bass and highs. I also generally kind of like take a look at the colors and stuff in this video, but like, it looks, I got no real complaints. It maybe looks a little bit kind of cooler. I'm not like kind of blown away in the way that I usually am when looking at like an iPad display or a MacBook display. It looks more normal. Big props to Apple for their, Retina thing where they basically put as much resolution in a certain size display as they think is like proper for the human eye to appreciate. It works, I don't know what to tell you. Webcam. So far, I gotta say, using the trackpad has been totally fine, but that's also because I'm used to Windows trackpads more so than MacBook trackpads, so like to me this seems normal. MacBook people may feel like, oh, it's a step down. Just based off this, maybe the actual file will look better, but the preview is making me think that this is definitely a step down than the normal level of Apple quality that I would expect. Once again, $600 MacBook. What are you gonna do? It's pretty good. It's fine. Like for a student, this is all you get. Graduate and then talk to me. So as for battery life, Apple put a 36.5 watt-hour battery in here. Apple says that'll get you 11 hours of wireless web browsing and 16 hours of video playback. I appreciate Apple giving the actual like wireless web browsing number, the estimate for the battery life there, because that's kind of what this is gonna be primarily used for. Now I've seen a lot of people say, it's only got 8 gigs of RAM. It's got 8 gigs of unified memory as part of that A18 Pro chip. That can punch a little bit above its weight class on an Apple device where they've so heavily optimized everything and you're using first-party Apple apps. And the other thing to keep in mind here is that especially if you're coming from a Windows ecosystem, 8 gigs of RAM is not enough. You're right, it's not. But this is not a Windows device, and I think that a lot of people are going to find out now that macOS is available at a lower price point. It's true, there's been the refurb, store, and you've been able to get like discounted MacBook Airs for a while. And based on the impressions and reviews that we're seeing about this thing so far, there's probably a good contingent of people who are gonna look at this thing and be like, yeah, this is really cool, but I do need a little bit more juice, and you're gonna go for like a refurb M4 MacBook Air for a couple $100 more or something, or maybe you can find a M3 one used. Like regardless, this represents a cool new entry point into the macOS ecosystem where 8 gigabytes can potentially act like more than 8 gigabytes. As I said, this is the 256 gig version, the base model. There is one available upgrade up to 512 gigs of internal storage. That will also get you the Touch ID power button, which is like an interesting thing for them to like link those two together. Apple's ways are mysterious. That upgrade costs $100 USD, but it does not upgrade that 8 gigs of RAM. I know a lot of you are stressed about the 8 gigs of RAM, okay? You're thinking, wow, what, 8 gigs of RAM? How am I supposed to run my local LLMs and generate all of my content? You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to do that. This thing reminds me of that plastic MacBook that I had back in 2006. I shouldn't date myself like that, I guess, but that's when I had it. And it had your GarageBand on it, and me and my friends would fool around and make fun songs, and like, I love that Apple is still putting that stuff, some of that stuff on here, and taking their beautiful hardware, well-optimized hardware, and putting it out there for $600. Students can get it. They can learn to create things, okay? We have to learn to create again. and buy beautiful tools that have cool colors on them. I'm not saying that other companies can't make beautiful hardware, they can, but that's not the thing that's in front of me right now. It's the MacBook Neo, and that's basically all I have to say about it. So thanks for watching Short Circuit. Subscribe, and if you're looking for something else to watch, check out our other video on the MacBook Air. If this isn't quite gonna cut it for you, maybe that will, okay? We're in our Apple glazing era. Go Apple.